Alison, thank you so much for joining me today to discuss your journey, your very strong, courageous, and just all-inspiring journey with Crohn's colitis. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for everything.
I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad it's a win-win, right? That's why we do what we do. Can you first tell me, what were you diagnosed with? How long ago? And what was that experience like for you and your family?
Yeah, I was originally diagnosed in 2016. So
Mhm.
yeah, I was diagnosed about 8 years ago, and I was diagnosed with Crohn's colitis.
Mhm.
And prior to that, I had been really active, really healthy, really engaged in my life. It was completely a shock to me. I just thought I had food poisoning. That's what I thought I had. I was having those kinds of symptoms. So I'm sure most people can sort of imagine what that's like. I thought I had food poisoning, but it didn't go away and I wasn't getting better. And so that was sort of the beginning of just huge, long process of figuring out what was going on with my body and a whole different life.
So you were diagnosed 8 years ago with both Crohn's and colitis, much like myself. And that experience was pretty tough. So as you're going through that, what kind of symptoms were you dealing with? How extreme did it get?
It got really extreme. You know, my life became completely foreign to me and my body was unrecognizable. Pretty much every sort of normal pillar of humanity, like all of our basic bodily functions, whether it's like sleeping, eating, eliminating, all of those were completely disrupted. I was going to the bathroom. At the worst of it, I was like having to run to the bathroom up to 35 times a day. I was homebound and bedbound. I have been homebound and bedbound for various lengths of time over the last 8 years, but up to a year at one point where I could barely even get upright. I would be in so much pain. I have never experienced that much pain in my life. So much bleeding. I couldn't eat anything. I could eat about 5, 6 different things. You know, I started to get really afraid of food. I couldn't leave my house. You know, it's just like, and it feels like an impossible way to live.
Allie, you had lived a pretty full life before that without any of these issues. What do you
Yeah.
think happened? I mean, you had these problems in your teenage years, your 20s, your 30s. What do you think happened?
Yeah, it was really shocking to me and it was a mystery to me, right? It was like, you know, you kind of go through these stages. You go through a kind of grief process as you start to realize the truth of this diagnosis and what this even means. You know, like I had no idea when the doctor sort of said to me that I had Crohn's, you know, after endoscopies and colonoscopies and all these crazy diagnostics. I was like, what even is that? You know, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
And up until that time, really eaten healthfully. I rode my bike everywhere. I did yoga all the time. I was very active. So it was completely baffling to me. But my mind started to go panic mode, you know, like, what do I do? How do I fix this?
Yeah.
And so I started to just, whatever they told me to do, I'll do it. Okay. So they started to put me on lots of heavy duty medications and, you know, everything you can think of, from different types of chemotherapy drugs, infusions, biologics, steroids, all of these things. Then that started to have its own issues. You know, now I'm having horrible side effects from all these meds, and that's making me sick. And I am just having also one thing I want to mention for people, because if people are listening to this, perhaps they can relate, but I started to have so much medical trauma, so much trauma from trying to talk to these doctors who I knew understood a lot about the disease, a lot about the physical body, but they didn't know what it was like to actually try to live with this disease.
Yeah.
And it was really, really hard to convey to them, like, I don't have a life anymore. Like, this is not sustainable. And what are some other options here? But they didn't seem to have any other options. It was either worse or harder medications or surgery, you know, like remove parts of your digestive tract. It's like, that sounds crazy. There must be another way. Like, I just felt deep within me that there had to be another way. And I finally started to listen to that deep part of me that thought, no, I think something else is possible here. I don't know what it is, but I think there's something else possible.
Wow. And so it's very similar. I can relate with so much of what you said, with the medications making you worse and feeling like there's nothing you can do and you're willing to do everything people tell you to do for months and months and years and years. And you started to transition to feel like, hey, I got to do something about this. So through
Yep.
that pain, through that suffering, you started to become the CEO. You started to say, I'm going to own this.
Exactly.
And you ended up joining the S.H.I.E.L.D program at the end of 2023. Now we're coming on May of 2024 right now. And you had been working in some natural medicine for a bit of time.
I had, yeah.
What made you feel like the S.H.I.E.L.D program could be different or do something different for you than you had already experienced? Really be a solution or a home for you?
I think that definitely was a process, coming off of the pharmaceuticals, listening to that inner voice within me, giving myself permission to follow a different way, right? Because I was terrified to come off of all those meds and my doctors were not supportive of that at all.
Yeah.
But I wanted to try a different way. I knew it was worth it. I couldn't live the way I was living. So once I opened up to that idea, and I've been on now all those pharmaceuticals for 5 years. So once I started to follow that inner guidance and that inner wisdom and that inner truth, I started to, new things opened up to me and I started to find other options, more holistic, functional options presented themselves. And that helped. That was a step. That was a piece of the puzzle, right? Healing, as we talked about, is not linear and there's many pieces and there's all kinds of things to explore on this path. It becomes an exploration. And so then when I started to hear about your program, I knew from my own experience, my own life experience, the value of looking at the way these things affect us on mind, body, and spirit in every way, and how to be in community with other people, how to see other people who have walked the path. We walk the path together, and there's real value in that and real healing in that. And so something in me was just like, this, I think, is the next step, that's the next piece of the puzzle. And I'm sure that there are more. I'm not saying that I'm a finished product.
No one's a finished product.
Yeah.
Life is not a finished product.
Yeah, that's not a real idea. I just really felt like that was the next piece of the puzzle.
So you felt that connection with community and being with like-minded individuals who customize your plan. Everyone has their own unique plan, but learns from each other.
Yes.
Having a coach who's had Crohn's and colitis and reverse their symptoms and can help work with you one-on-one.
Yeah, I want to say that is absolutely huge. From the first moment I spoke to somebody in your program who I knew also had a similar diagnosis, it almost makes me want to cry, because it's I've spoken to so many expert doctors who know a lot of good things. I'm grateful for what they have to offer, but they have no idea what it's like to live with Crohn's colitis. They have no idea. And it's not their fault, but they just don't know. From the moment I spoke to somebody in your program who understood, and this was just me asking questions, but it was just oh, she could nod her head and I could be like, yes, you get it. I don't even need to give it words.
No.
Right?
And you're talking about your CS, because everyone on our team has Crohn's colitis.
Yes, and that was huge to me. That was a huge piece of it. Because you feel so dismissed and diminished when you talk to doctors who don't understand, my life is over. When I talk to somebody else who understands what it's like to try to build a life with this diagnosis, which they tell you you're going to have for the rest of your life, it's like a life sentence, and they have no idea. Now, what do I do to put my life together? And here, now I've met people who understand.
Yeah, who can bring hope, who are working hard to grow answers, to build answers, mind, body, spirit, like you said, functional lab work, alternative therapies, everything. Well, let me ask you this, Allie, what are your symptoms now?
Oh gosh, I'm so much better than I was. I'm so much better than I was. I haven't been back to my GI doctors, but if I told them, I think their minds would be blown, because they were so resistant to me trying any of these things. They really put a lot of fear in me. But I think if I went to them now and told them that, now I have normal bowel movements, 3 to 4 a day, a normal human. There are times when I feel like myself, that makes me want to cry too. It's oh wow, I'll remember, this is me. I feel hopeful, I feel joyful, I feel lighter, I feel not that heaviness of a diagnosis. When they hand you this diagnosis, it feels so heavy. And now it's there is a path through this. There is a way to build a new life. I think that's what I want to say to people, is there is a way. And actually, in a way, it's all been a gift, right? I've learned so much more about myself, about how to listen to my inner guidance, my inner wisdom. I can eat food that I want to eat. My relationship with food is completely changed.
You can eat organic food from the earth. Have you been able to have a salad?
Yes, I was so excited. And I asked my coach, I was like, what do you think about raw vegetables? Okay,
That takes hard work. It takes hard work to get there.
Gradual.
Yes, you can start working on raw vegetables. So you sometimes will even have bowel movements down to 2, but usually 3 or 4 a day. You have no blood, no mucus, no urgency.
I sleep through the night.
Sleep through the night, no cramping and pain. Good energy, and you are at a normal weight. Hemorrhoids haven't come back, no issues around that. And you've been in your medication free.
Yep, I am medication free. Yeah, that is really a miracle.
Let me ask you 2 things. How important was Coach Lori to your results and your experience? You were with Coach Lori in the program.
Yeah.
Do you think you could have got these results just following the videos or being in the community only, or do you think that one-on-one was vital?
All of those things are great. I think that it was really what do I want to say, like a gift I gave myself to be able to actually connect with somebody. Like I would have a momentary symptom, and instead of having that moment of panic where you're like, oh no, am I going back to square one, right? Because it's scary when so much trauma going through this kind of illness. And I could just reach out to her and say, what do you think about trying this? Or what do you think about that? And it felt so reassuring just to know that there was somebody there who could just help me through that.
So you could DM your coach and just say, hey, what do you think of this, that, and the other? And so she was pivotal, key, help customize your plan, help you get rid of these symptoms, make sense of what you're doing and why. Yeah. And what was it, for anyone out there who's really resonating with your case? I've been sick for 8 years. I have been on the medications. I had terrible reactions to that. And they want to get to where you are. They want to get medication free. They want to get symptom free. And first, we both agree, it's not linear. It's usually 99 out of 100 times, it's not straight up. It's left, right. I think I'm doing anything wrong. Wait, I'm doing great. No, the seasons, right? It's going everywhere until you finally do arrive at a place where you feel you're stable, where you're balanced. Right. What do you think is a key highlight that's helped you get here that you would recommend maybe yourself a year or 2 ago, or recommend to someone who's considering the S.H.I.E.L.D. program?
Yeah, I think it is the willingness to find that inner voice, that inner wisdom, that willingness to listen to that and explore and see what else is possible through this experience, through this process, because even this has become a gift for me. As hard as it is, as hard, as gross, as unimaginable as it was, has become a gift for me. I've learned so much about myself and what I'm capable of. And so I think that's a huge thing, is like having that willingness to explore what else is possible. What else is possible even in the midst of this, that seems so impossible.
And you had mentioned that mindset and breath work have been 2 huge impacts on your gut health and managing symptoms.
For me, it's been really important to look at the ways that any kind of illness, I think, affects us on every level. Mind, body, spirit, all of it is affected. This program I love because it incorporates all of those. Whether it's like doing tapping, doing the journaling. Journaling is huge. Creating a music list. Like, I love that suggestion of yours, where it's like a healing music list, you know?
How many people take that one to heart? But that one was big for me.
I loved it.
And I'll give everyone the answer here on your story. You put 20 songs into a playlist that make you want to sing along, that make you excited, and if you find yourself skipping a song, you've got to delete it and add a new one. So it creates that dopamine. Every day you have that serotonin or dopamine of things that make you want to run, or make you want to stand up and go for a walk, or make you want to laugh.
Yeah, all of those things play a part. Waking up in the morning, and I would do, I have had a long meditation and prayer practice, and then adding aromatherapy and how much time am I spending in the sun, and all of those things I think play a huge, that's medicine right there. I never realized how much power those things have, and putting them all together are definitely a big part of why I love that program.
Allie, last thought. Any words of advice you give to anyone out there who is suffering right now, or any recommendation about the S.H.I.E.L.D. program? What would you say to someone out there? Last words.
I would say don't give up. The diagnosis is just, it can be a useful tool, but it doesn't have to condemn you to a life of misery. There is a path, and there are gifts in it, and there are people who've walked this path, and I'm so grateful that you're sharing it.